Yo, people, we are back again, man, for another episode. Hey, we want to get straight to the topic in it. Come on, you know how it is. So you man know what to do. The usuals: like, comment, and subscribe, man, and share with your people. Share with your people, man. But yeah, man, moving that all aside. Hey, these man just dropped a bombshell, man. What's it? It was like Sunday morning. I think Dan sent into the GC like, they might be doing the Super League thing. I was just thinking, hey, them man are just they're just posturing, they're just fronting. The man ain't on piss, but hey, the man are on piss, you know. They weren't playing about. My brief thoughts before we go into greater detail. I'm not actually against the idea of a Super League. A Super League isn't actually a bad idea. You know, with the way football's going, you do need changes in it. Not everything can stay the same, but I'm against the whole format of it. Of there's 15,000 members. Obviously, I understand you're in your crib, in it. You don't want to get kicked out of your own crib. It's one of them ones there. It's quite embarrassing, but still, man, I don't like the idea that there's 15 teams always in there and then 5 teams fight out. Nah, I'm not on it. But yeah, man, Denzel, what's your thoughts on the whole Super League thing?
Hmm. I'm gonna start off with the basics because of throughout this video we're gonna get into the nitty and the gritty. But the Super League, I'm not really against it. I understand that there's some flaws in the format in which they've laid out, but I don't see why everyone's overreacting and everyone's going crazy over this Super League. I don't think it's as bad as everyone's um laying it out to be. I feel like obviously with the pandemic, clubs need money and this was always gonna happen. It was inevitable. So I don't see why everyone's in such uproar about this whole Super League thing. It's similar to the Champions League. The issue I have is with UEFA and the Premier League and all the other leagues banding together to go against it. And I'll give my reasons why I disagree with UEFA and FIFA later on, but that's just my basis. That's just the basis of my views on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. What's your base view on the whole topic?
I think everyone is pretty clear that I am actually in support of the Super League. Probably an unpopular opinion to most, but like you said, I just feel like it was inevitable and that football was getting to the point where it was going to just advance past because there's a need for more games and there's a need for bigger games. And it's literally what Perez was talking about in his interview yesterday about how there is a need for more games because the numbers are dropping. The people are not watching football as much technically because there are less smaller games and people aren't really like focused on that. Everybody just wants to see the quarterfinals. Everybody just wants to, and although that's not the way football should be, but that is the way it is. And you have to accept the reality of the situation. And that's what these clubs are trying to do. Because if more people want to see bigger games, then we have to give them bigger games so we can make more money from the bigger games. To me, it's just simple economics. And yeah, I wouldn't say the only thing obviously I probably have a problem with would just be the format. But although I just think that it's this way because they're just starting. And when you're just starting something, you can't kick off a competition with no disrespect to the smaller clubs, but you can't kick off a competition with the smaller clubs. Nobody would want to see those. Everybody wants to see the City, Real Madrid, Juventus, even Arsenal, even Tottenham. People want to see the big teams face off against each other. So yeah, I'd have to say I'm in support of it. Obviously, I'd give more reasons, as we go on. But yeah, that's just my belief.
Sarah?
Um, I want change, but I don't. This is the wrong way to do it. We've also seen the changes in the UCL as well, which we'll probably get into later on. But I just don't agree with the teams that are trying to monopolize the whole market and everything. But I agree that we need to obviously make the big games a bigger deal because, like we've seen, obviously numbers are dropping and views are dropping.
Oh, they actually, I never really checked, but
yeah, they are dropping.
yeah,
But
fair enough.
But using like I think in other leagues as well, like think about it, like Ajax and teams like that, we're gonna get into this, but yeah, I'm 50-50 about
it. Dan?
I'll be real, I don't have like a strong feeling, but I'm leaning towards being for the Super League. And a lot of it is just the hypocrisy coming from the uproar. Like people who have no right really to be angry. Like obviously, if you're a fan of the small teams, I completely understand. And I don't even want to disrespect and call them small teams. If you're a non-Big Six fan, I completely understand why you would be against it. But from these big corporations, the hypocrisy is making me lean towards the Super League, if I'm being real for you. But there is some problems that we will get on to later that I think they should and need to address for it to be seen as legitimate and competitive.
Mm-hmm. Let's break this down. All right, we're gonna go financially first. So I just looked at it. Let me even share screen as well. Okay, and if you guys wanna share anything as well, you man can bring it up. Let me put this up. So this is UEFA's revenues of the Champions League, because we have to look at this from a financial, emotional standpoint. We can't be too focused on one place. So we can see that that they made 3.87 billion from the Champions League 2 seasons ago. How much are they saying for the Super League now? 6 billion, or between that 4.6 and
Yeah, 6 billion is a total, 3.5 mil divided up between the clubs or something. 350, sorry.
350.
And this is a key thing. I can't remember, but UEFA keep a significant amount of it. Like the winners get like 100 million, isn't it? So if we're looking at it from a business perspective, what the big clubs are doing now is saying, we understand how powerful and how big our market is, so we're going to use our power and our leverage to get deals, to maximize our deals as much as possible. So me thinking it from a business perspective as well, there's nothing, I'm not against this, because you're using your power and you're also understanding that you're being also undercut as well, because as much as, UEFA are the bodies, but Barcelona, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Arsenal, all these big teams, they're the reasons why people watch the Champions League, innit? So we're trying to get a bigger cut from what we feel like we deserve. So I cannot be against clubs using their initiatives and their want to really get what they deserve in this sense. So what's your guys' thoughts on it from a financial point of view?
I was going to say, so basically that's important because Steve Parish mentioned this as well, like the top 6 sides significantly have a much bigger brand, and they produce a lot more of the revenues that come into the Premier League, especially. They obviously, what else he said, but he said something to do with how some of the decisions that are made in the Premier League based financially, they have to be in the best interest for everybody. And obviously the top 6 sides feel like they have to sacrifice a lot of what they want and the best interest for them as well. So that's probably one of the reasons why they've proposed this and going through with it.
Ari, what's your thoughts on
that? I agree with what Sarab said. A lot of the decisions that are made, for instance, you can talk about how Premier League pays finishing positions in the Premier League and how it compares from the first position to I think the gap, I actually should have probably got the numbers up, but I don't think the gap is that much between finishing first and finishing.
It's like 30 mil or something.
Between first and fourth, I think it's 15 million.
Yeah, no, first and
ninth is 30, I think.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the gap isn't. So they don't really. They see everything as literally like the same. They literally like don't see any reason to get more money per se from like the bigger clubs, or they don't really know how to. And what the Super League is basically going to do is literally like not only just create bigger games but also create more games. So in the Champions League, you only just see a couple group stage games, then you're straight into the round of 16, and that's literally it. But in the Super League, obviously, because everybody's going to be playing each other throughout like weekly. So you're going to see more games and you're going to make more money from these games. And more money would obviously improve the sports financially. And Perez was talking about the fact that they've had this in the works, but obviously the pandemic accelerated it because they spoke about how FIFA and UEFA have literally neglected the clubs during this pandemic, which can be said as true because they've obviously had no way to, they've not proposed any way to help the clubs make money back or help the clubs, gain more money in any aspects and stuff like that. And then Perez also spoke about how the salary of the UEFA president isn't public information. And he was literally saying that there are lots of things he could talk about UEFA that he didn't, because I think everybody already knows this, that UEFA is a corrupt organization. So any establishment that is basically being set up to oppose them, I don't really see why people are having too much of a problem with it. So you have this big bad bully that's just literally controlling everyone, doing everything. And someone says, okay, we want to start our own and we want to, but everybody is so, because of the love of the game, which I obviously understand, nobody wants to see change. Nobody wants to, what's the word for that? No one wants to fight the establishment, or however it's said exactly. So people don't want to see the format change. Everybody likes seeing it the way it is. And the idea of the Super League just makes everybody think that, football is not going to be the same. But let's be real, nothing's going to change. When come this September, when we start seeing Juventus versus Liverpool, when we start seeing, everybody's going to watch it. And in my opinion, it's going to be good for the game. Now, he also spoke about how there will be a second division there could possibly be a second division for the Super League, which I feel is probably what more people want to hear, which I feel will be a good idea, because you obviously need to get the quote unquote smaller teams back in the competition. And I feel like eventually this whole no relegation thing, I feel like eventually it's all going to change. But I just think that because the Super League is just starting, they just need a foundation just to start it off, just to make people interested in it again before they can start saying, okay, if you're not performing up to standards, you would drop out of the league and stuff like that. But yeah, financially it's going to help a lot of clubs. And he also spoke about how now that the smaller, I don't like using smaller, the teams that are not in the Super League, their players would obviously go for more money to the bigger clubs because they're now earning more money. So it's literally going to be like an economic cycle. So for instance, let's say Arsenal wants let's look
Grealish.
for Grealish. Yeah, Grealish is a good example. So Aston Villa now would ask us for more money because they know we have more money. So if at the end of the day, it's all going to eventually just be,
The trickle down effect.
yeah, exactly. That's the right word. And everybody's just going to make money eventually, because when there's more money around, then there's more money to share. Simple economics. So yeah,
You just hit a crucial point before I go into Dan though. There's more money to share, but do they want to share it?
That's yeah. I was
They're
gonna
gonna
say
have
that.
to when they're buying players.
Exactly. They have to share it.
One of the reasons why they want to do the Super League is because they want to condense the financial pool.
But when you buy
Yeah,
players, the
yeah.
money's going to be
but they're
shared.
going to be
Exactly.
making enough money to still spend on players and to still generally gain profit. So because obviously we know nobody's intentions are always pure. So we obviously know that the Super League are obviously trying to do this as well to make money for themselves, being realistic. But at the end of the day, they are still going to make enough money to put more money into the game and to obviously, give to the smaller clubs when they want to sign players and stuff like that. But I don't understand what everybody says, because everybody is literally motivated by money. Let's be real. But UEFA, we're also motivated by money. So if a new organization is coming up, and okay, we'll still talk about
That's another thing, That's another thing.
Yeah.
We'll get onto that as well. Who's gonna be the
Yeah.
body? Like, how can Perez be
That's what. Yeah.
how can
How
Perez be
can-
the president and then you got Real Madrid? We'll get
Yeah,
onto that one.
yeah,
We'll
we'll
get
get
onto
onto
that.
that,
But Dan, what's your thoughts on the financial side of it?
In my opinion, the financial side, I think it's been needed, if I'm being honest, because if we look at the Premier League, and I know Ore touched on it, there's a big problem with incentive and owners, because you can look at it from the perfect example is Man United, because the difference in prize money between first and fourth is not enough to give owners incentive to make that final push. Because every time Man United get into the Champions League, the Glazers sit back and think, oh, we don't need to do anything. But every time they're outside of the Champions League, they'll spend 100 million because they know that they'll get the Champions League money coming in, they'll get that prize money, and it's fine. They're making a profit. But they don't want to make that. They don't want to make that final push to get to the top because it's not essentially in terms of business-wise, it's not worthy. It's not worth it. It's only like 15 million more in prize money, and to get from fourth to first, you're going to have to spend at least 200 million. So that's a massive loss in their eyes. So on that side, there's been change that's been needed because, like as I said, Man United is the perfect example, but clubs like Arsenal and Liverpool are other good example. Even Spurs is a good example, where these owners are content just to sit in fourth and collect that money every year. And I'm hoping with the Super League that there is incentive for them to push forward and move forward, and that there is bigger prize, bigger sums, and reasons for them to want to try and get to the top. But
Can I
obviously,
ask a question? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Keep
go on.
going. No, but like, what's going to be the incentive if you're going to get 400 mil for just participating?
Just being in it. Like if you finish first, that's the only reason you want to be in it.
No, but my thing is because if you drop out of it, that's what I was going to go into later. If you drop out of it, then you lose that money, and if you finish higher, then you get more money.
I think there's going to be a lot more questions we're going to ask as
And
we get
if
deeper in it.
the league is making more money, then there would obviously be higher incentive for. They'd obviously try and structure it in a way where the better you do, the more significant money you're making, which happens in the Premier League, but the gap is just not reasonable enough. So probably what they'll be trying to do is increase the gap between the payments. But yeah, we have to see all the details of the financials.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah. Then
And that's
what's
what
your yeah. No, yeah. Finish your point.
I was going to say a lot of the smaller clubs are saying that the money won't trickle down. I disagree with that entirely because let's look at it. The clubs in the Super League, they don't need to sell to each other because they are all very, very rich. Spurs don't need to sell Harry Kane. Like these clubs don't need to sell because they've got a lot of money. So where are these clubs going to be buying from? The clubs not in the Super League, beneath them. And the clubs beneath them are going to realize, these guys have a lot of money. We don't need to give it to them for cheap. They can afford it. And another example, I hate using Man United all the time, but they're another good example. Teams know they got money, so Man United get overcharged a lot. Same with even Arsenal. That's my point. So this money will trickle down, and the clubs, let's say Grealish, for example, Arsenal buy Grealish for, let's say 80 or 100 million. Then Villa will go and spend that 80 or 100 million on 3 or 4 players in the Championship for 20 million. Then that will trickle down and trickle down and trickle down. So this money will be shared. Like these clubs are not going to just keep it and just keep the exact same teams that they've got and it's going to go straight to the owner. Well, I hope not anyway, but I assume that it's not going to be like that. And I think it's a big overreaction to assume that these clubs are just going to keep it in between themselves.
Yeah, Dan, what's your thoughts on the financial side of it?
Dan just took players on the basis of the Super League club coming in and trying to purchase your player. So the whole a big issue, and it's going to Big Six are going to have all the money because that's when you're going to coming out and saying, "Oh, it's disgraceful." Who owns most of the media entertainment sector? You're sitting in the seat, Greed. When BT's charging £15 a month, £15 per match, they're not complaining about greed. But as soon as someone else wants to do a new Super League and there's money injected into it, everyone's greedy. There's this myth about greed. corporations have been doing this for time, but now that their bag is in threat, there's a big, massive issue. And obviously, you're seeing Sky pushing this whole media agenda. They're doing everything in their power to stop this league. That's why me personally, I'm not taking in what some of these media corporations are saying, because I know it's all biased. The whole myth about greed and it's disgraceful or all these people care about is money. You're doing the same thing yourselves. So you have no leg to stand on when it comes to that. That's just what I wanted to put out.
Can I just quickly say something? I'm obviously going to regard this to Arsenal, obviously, because I'm an Arsenal fan. But the Premier League, and because I saw a tweet yesterday that spoke about this, the Premier League and the UEFA can't really blame Arsenal for joining the Super League, because for the past decade and stuff, clubs like Chelsea and City, they've been praised for doing exactly what goes against the game. They've got in rich owners, and the rich owners have spent loads and loads and loads, and the media has praised and praised them. Oh, they got this new player. Oh, they signed this person. They've gone crazy. Last transfer window, everybody was, oh, Chelsea. Oh, they brought in this person. They got in this person. They got in this person. When City do it, everybody praises them. Quadruple. Just think about the idea for a second. The fact that a team is going for the quadruple in a season, and everybody just thinks that's normal. Everybody just thinks, okay, that's fine. But then the idea of a Super League, everybody goes crazy. Not the idea of a team possibly winning 4 trophies in a single year. All right, that's that. Then what was I even going to say again?
FFP.
Yeah, so when City, broke financial fair play, and then UEFA said they were going to ban them or what per se, at the end of the day, just give them a slap on the wrist, because we all knew that they were never going to ban City, because at the end of the day, all they really just care about is money. Financial fair play has created the myth that, oh, we'll try and monitor how much they're spending, but it's all fugazi. It doesn't really exist per se. So financial fair play hasn't helped anyone. UEFA haven't done anything to control how much money teams spend and everything. So now that establishment is coming out to say that we're going to obviously try and make more money, distribute more money to other clubs who are not in the league, and try and keep things at a fairer ground inside our league, and everybody suddenly goes crazy and complains. And to me, it just doesn't make sense, because if what UEFA was doing was already so bad, no one was making it such a global spectacle. Even Sky, BT, everything, they all push propaganda for City, for Chelsea, for teams that spend money, that have stuff like that. So yeah, I really don't see any problem with that. Yeah.
So moving on from the financial element of it, let's look at the actual format and the actual league itself. And I got a question to ask, and I'm gonna go around. Do we love big games, or do we love what's at stake for those big games? Dan?
I think we love big games, man. Everyone watches North London Derby every year.
But what's at stake?
What's at stake? Nothing. Them teams aren't winning the title. Them teams aren't doing anything.
Literally what you just said questions why I think, apart from money and apart from history, especially Arsenal, what have they done to deserve this? Spurs, don't even get me started on them. Like, what have they done?
I'll get onto that, by the way. I'll get onto that. Because Arsenal's held too many strays for my liking.
That's probably one of the reasons why I'm even now more in support of.
I'm going to address that.
Because it's good for you guys, isn't it? So
no, I'm going to address that.
Very good for Arsenal. Very good for Arsenal.
So, Sarah, do we love big games, or do we love what's at stake for those big games?
I mean, I think still our big games are dead at the moment, aren't they? Like, they're just not as what they. I agree, they're not as good as what they once were. But really, increasing the amount of big games we have, is that going to make it any better? Really? Like playing in the Super League, you're going to be playing game after game, week after week, big games, and then fans like go into all these big games and watch them. It's just going to be like, oh, I can't be bothered. It'll end up the same thing.
Deep it. There's a top 6 game pretty much every week. Pretty much. You watch the one top 6 game every week. You watch 2 Champions League games, and if Arsenal or United playing a big team in Europa League, people watch that one as well. That's 4 big games in 1 week that people watch.
But there's a reason why the views have gone down as well.
If UEFA didn't care so much about big games and they cared about teams trying to come up from them, then why are they rigging games? Why are they trying to make Arsenal United making the Europa final? It's obvious. We see what they're doing. They don't want a final between Roma and Villarreal. They want an Arsenal United final. They know that's what's going to make the money. They're all just trying to make it seem like everybody has a chance. They rig the games. They rig all the draws and everything. I mean, obviously, we don't have any substantial proof
Allegedly.
of that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we don't have any substantial proof of that. But I mean, it's kind of obvious, man. Before this competition, once we're in the group stages, I already said this. I said Arsenal United are most likely going to be in the final, or even Arsenal United is going to be a big game, Milan or and that's not just because of the quality of the teams, because they're literally just going to try and because Arsenal haven't been so fantastic in this, but look at our draws. I mean, obviously, I'm happy with the draws, but I mean, like for instance, we're getting teams that are quite easily beatable because they're obviously doing everything they can to make us try and get to the final. The same way they're doing for United. I mean, you can say Milan was a big game, but still, you expected United. Everyone kind of expected United to win that one. So at the end of the day, even in the Champions League as well, the draws, everything. So I don't know why they've created this thing where they don't really care about they're trying to make everybody think they don't really care about the big games, and they're trying to make small like teams that know. It doesn't really make sense to me. In terms of what Josh asked, the thing is that the big teams have better players.
No, but what do we love the most? The big games or what's at stake?
We like, I would have to say we like the games, or even both, because it depends. Because like Dan said, Arsenal and Spurs, I think a couple weeks we weren't in any threatening positions, but everybody still wants to watch the North London derby and stuff like that. So you just have to say that at the end of the day, the clubs have history. The clubs have arguably, more marketable players and stuff like that. So everybody wants to see Harry Kane, play against a team that has, who can I even think in our club? What the heck? I don't know, maybe someone like Odegaard or someone like that, someone who's, quite popular across marketing and media and stuff like that. So, in terms of stuff like that, people want to see Mbappe go up against,
Haaland
and stuff like that.
Germany are the good ones here.
People want to see Messi versus Ronaldo. I mean, that's probably one of the greatest ones everyone wants to see of all time. So what's at stake? I mean, the group stage, Barcelona versus Juventus
I didn't care about that, to be honest.
In the Champions League. You didn't really care about that. I mean, obviously the teams are not really as, let's say prestigious as they were before. But I assure you that a lot of people still tuned in to watch Barcelona just because of the fact that Messi and Ronaldo are playing against each other. So, and obviously the game had no consequence in anything, because I think it was between finishing first and second, which isn't really kind of serious because everybody makes round of 16. But people still watch because at the end of the day, it's a big game. Now I'll ask you who tuned in to watch Barcelona versus who else was even in the group?
Kashunas, whatever it was. I can't remember what it's called. That's a weird name.
let's be like, I'm not trying to be like, but the groups, like what Perry is talking about, the group stages, not many people watch enough games in the group stages. And
100.
Why would you need 4 big games in a group stage?
No way. Did anyone apart from Chelsea fans watch any of Chelsea's group stage games?
Probably not.
I didn't watch every single game. Just probably chose Chelsea Sevilla.
And that's my point. No one cares about games against teams that aren't as big, because Chelsea weren't even playing small teams. They were just playing teams that weren't enormous.
Yeah.
Like Chelsea,
we'll get into it a bit deeper. I just want to get Denzel's thoughts on the question quickly before we. So, do you love the big games or do you love what's at stake for them?
I think I'd have to say both, but with the stakes claim, I'll look at it from a different angle. If you're playing with this whole Super League thing, if you're playing big teams every week, there's going to be stuff at stake every week. Pride is at stake, essentially, because whenever there's a big game, there's always someone's pride at stake. No one ever wants to lose a big game, regardless of what position you're in the league. Say if like a couple of years ago when Man United and Arsenal were both doing absolutely terrible, there's still a lot of pride behind the game. So obviously the stake is important and everyone just loves big games. I think the two coincide. So I'd have to say both.
So if I was to answer it, I think we do love both. But I'll speak for myself personally. I love what's at stake more. And I'll use this for example. Let's even look at the FA Cup. Do I care more about Liverpool versus United in the third round or Chelsea versus Man City in the semi-final? I care more about the semi-final because what's at stake is greater. And
Did you or
the
did you not watch both
implication-
games?
Yeah, but
Did you or did you not watch both games?
I watched both games, but I cared more about the Chelsea
Yeah, but-
versus Man City one because what's at stake
Josh,
is a lot greater.
I've got a counter to that though.
What?
Wait, are you using this in terms of to go against the Super League? Is this an argument against the Super League?
I was kind of just
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
more in general. Really.
Oh, okay. Because if it was the argument against the Super League, I would say that in the latter stages, because if they have the whole league concept and then the top three advance to the quarterfinals, then they have the playoff things. So there's going to be a lot of stake in this tournament. I don't think people are remembering that. There's going to be knockout stages in this tournament. There's going to be playoffs in this tournament. There's going to be drama in this league. So there's going to be a lot at stake. I don't think that people saying, there's not as much at stake is a valid argument when going against it. But if you're just saying in general, then
because for me, yeah, I prefer like what's it called? Liverpool versus. I think what Perez was saying about like the group stages and stuff is right in it because PSG versus Real Madrid was in the group stages last year. I didn't really care about that, but PSG versus Bayern in the quarterfinals, I'm watching that, and it was a great game in it. But my thing, when people talk about the rarity of the games, that it doesn't come around often.
I think that's quite important.
I think it is because I think it is, but obviously they say too much of everything is bad. But I don't know. I think there's an element of people might adapt to the idea that there's going to be more big games often. So that idea that the rarity of the games makes it more interesting. I don't know, maybe people will start to lose that. And besides, there's going to be a new generation as well. So the guys that are like 10 and 11 or maybe even younger, that rarity aspect that we talk about, they might not care about that. It's like things change every generation, isn't it? So for us, maybe, and I can only speak for myself personally, the rarity of those games made me interested in them even more. But maybe for like someone that's like 5, that's going to be 15 in 10 years, they won't care about the rarity because they're just used to the games all the time. So when you deep, it's a generation to generational thing, innit? Is what affects us might not affect the younger generation. And maybe that's what Perez is looking at in terms of we're changing football to cater to a younger generation now. They're not catering to fans that are 30 and 40. And maybe that's one of the things that we're missing out on. But Dan, you wanted to say something?
I don't know, but I'll speak for myself anyway, but I think I can say that I've watched pretty much every Big Six game when they've played each other this year. That's a lot of games. And never once did it cross my mind, they need to play each other less. If anything, I wanted them to play each other more because a lot of them games didn't live up to the hype because the teams didn't want to attack. They didn't want to do this. If there was some consequences, for example, I don't even want to get onto Man United and Spurs, but they played the big games knowing that they could pick up points somewhere else. They could come away with a draw and then go and pick up points somewhere else. If they played no one but big teams, they would be forced to go and attack because there'd be no other teams that they would, especially in games against teams that are similar to their level. Like, for example, there's no way in the Super League that Man United would be going to the Emirates and sitting back, knowing that Arsenal is one of the 4, if not 2, worst teams in that Super League. There's no way they'd be sitting back. No way. So if anything, I think there might even be more excitement in them sort of games.
Can I just add something? So for instance, this season, early in the season or a portion of the season where United were criticized for all those 0-0 draws and stuff like that. The fact that we all knew that United were playing 0-0 draws in most big games, but the fact that when a big game with United still came around, the fact that we all still wanted to see it just still kind of shows you the level at which they are. Because United Chelsea, before the game, I literally was like, it's going to be a 0-0 game. But is that going to stop me from seeing it? No, because I want to see United versus Chelsea. Whether or not, I think the game is not going to be as high quality as, proposed. But just the fact that it's United and Chelsea just makes me want to see the game. And it's just literally how football is. So, yeah.
Any final thoughts before we go on to like the merit side of it? So what's our thoughts on like like people talk about competition and like they're trying to Americanize the sport, you know, no relegations. What's our general thoughts on that? That's do you think that's the worst part of it, or do you think
Yeah.
it's understated? All right, Denzel, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only part of this whole Super League thing that I disagree with. I feel like the no relegation thing is silly because of there's no consequence to playing bad football. You know, you can have an absolute stinker the whole season and not get relegated. I feel like that's an issue that they need to solve. I feel like another thing that they need to add is allowing other teams to get promoted into this Super League, because of if like with the whole Premier League, it needs to work well with the Premier League. I know at the moment the Premier League are opposing it, but if they're gonna come to an understanding, there needs to be the same relationship that the Champions League and the Premier League has, where like say the top four gets into the Champions League football. There needs to be something like that in place with the Premier League and with the domestic leagues going into the Super League, because essentially the Super League is replacing the Champions League. So there needs to be an opportunity for clubs like Leicester, for clubs like West Ham, clubs like Everton to be able to enter this new league. Because if you're just the exclusivity aspect of it is what worries me. We need there needs to be an avenue for teams in domestic leagues to get into this new league. So that's the only thing where I don't particularly like that aspect of it.
Truthfully, I'm just going to say it's going to alienate. It's going to alienate clubs like Everton, Leicester, West Ham if you want to play in there. Like it's just okay. So we could spend some money this summer. We could get into a top two, whatever it is to qualify. We go straight into it. Arsenal and Tottenham could finish bottom of the league, and yet we would get relegated as well, or they would still stay up. How does that even make sense? That is morally just not right. Like, and you guys are just getting based on your wealth and your history. Like, there's clubs in the Championship that have more history.
It's not about history. It's about wealth. It's about wealth and numbers. As simple as that.
The Spurs don't have history.
Yeah.
And then okay, so they're saying the clubs with the most money. But what happens if West Ham become a club? How are they going to become clubs like that? They can't. They just can't become it.
To answer
you can.
Oh, it's gonna be impossible. It's
because
gonna be impossible.
Okay.
So to answer you though, if there was, I know you're of this whole organization, and people have used them two clubs to vent their frustration, and understandably, Arsenal and Spurs are not 12 or are not in the 12 of the best teams in Europe, but let's put it like this: is the Champions League an accurate reflection of the 32, or I don't even know how many are in group stages, best teams in Europe? It's not. Teams like Shakhtar are not in the 32 best teams in Europe.
No,
Other teams that are there are not in the...
But it's based on your league, though. That's the
thing.
Not
that's every league's going to be. Not every league's going to be in the Eredivisie. Is not going to be in it. The League of
wait. Let me land. I'll get to it. But my point is but these Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Man City, these are the wealthiest clubs. So when a statement needs to be made, UEFA will listen if Arsenal, Spurs, Man United, Chelsea are in that. If a club like, for example, Leipzig, Lyon, and Dortmund all done better than Arsenal and Man United in the last 2 years in the Champions League. But if them three clubs said, oh, we're not in the Champions League, UEFA wouldn't care because they're not bringing in numbers like Arsenal, United, Spurs, Chelsea. Even though them clubs have outperformed Arsenal and Spurs and United, they don't bring in the numbers or the viewers that Arsenal, United, and Spurs do. So for a statement to be made, it has to be them clubs. Now, I don't believe they deserve to be there, but just based on the numbers, they kind of had to be if there was going to be change. And in terms of merit, I think we're all of the agreement that there should be relegation and there should be promotion. It shouldn't just be that silliness of founding members can't get relegated, because that doesn't make sense and it's not based on merit.
So then the ownership will have to change completely. It can't be Florentino Perez and Kroenke and all these guys as chairman. It's just
exactly. But if we're being honest, teams even I'll use Dortmund and Leipzig as examples. They're not nearly, they don't have nearly the staying power that these clubs have to make that statement that the Super League wants. Because essentially what the Super League wants is, I think the main intention behind the Super League is to take back the money that they feel as though they deserve from UEFA.
Yeah.
And them 12 are the 12 clubs that are making the most money, really, aside from maybe PSG and Bayern. And I don't know about everyone else, but I
Well,
feel like
PSG have an allegiance to FIFA anyway, and Bayern is just a fan
Apparently-
ownership anyway.
If it wasn't for that,
Perez
them
said
two would be
PSG weren't
involved.
invited. Though.
Well, I don't know about that.
But there's politics behind the PSG
And-
decision, to be honest, because of
Politics
UEFA.
behind
but,
it.
yeah.
I think the owner has a deal with BN Sport. The owner owns BN Sports, who have a deal with UEFA. That's one of the reasons why PSG aren't in the tournament.
Bro.
But I think, as you were saying, the merit is the only real thing that I'm looking at, like, that needs to change. Like,
Yeah.
clubs, if you perform badly, then you're not in it. But for the start, for the opening, it has to be these clubs.
That's
It
fine.
can't, like, no disrespect to
Yeah.
Leicester, but do Leicester have even half the staying power and the power to make a statement that Arsenal do? They don't.
See that?
Yeah,
see,
but
that's-
As harsh as it sounds.
I don't think it gives Leicester ample opportunity to build that sort of wealth and dominance. It won't give them that because they'll just come
But-
straight back down.
But
Sarah-
they- but
Sarah-
they-
Yes,
no
it
one knows-
will. It will.
Wait.
No one knows how the
One at a time.
no one
one
knows
at
how
a
the
time.
Super League would be in the next 10 years. I mean, every time you want to start off something, you need to, like Dan said, make a statement per se. And eventually, over time, they would obviously give more leeway to other clubs to get into the Super League and stuff like that. But when you kick off, when you want to start something this huge, you need the people who are really the heavy hitters in Europe, and these are the 12 clubs who rank in numbers, who bring in the most fans, who gets the most viewers and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, this is how you obviously over time they would obviously have to create some sort of system where these clubs would obviously be threatened by their position in the Super League. I just see how it would work otherwise, but yeah.
I don't have a problem with like the biggest clubs being in it to begin with, but then one thing is UEFA can't be in charge of it because we know it's just going to get ruined because of how corrupt they are. We also know that the owners probably can't do it as well in the long term because
100%.
they just want to keep their teams in it. But then maybe government like rules need to come in for it.
Government. You want the government to come in? Come on.
No,
man.
Nah. Don't.
Really?
Don't. Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
governing.
Okay.
I think it's governing.
Governing,
Okay.
yeah, like a governing
Oh, governing. I thought you
set
said
of caps.
government.
Yeah.
You
No,
want-
no,
I thought you said
independent.
Well, you can-
independent.
You know
Yeah.
what? To some extent, these leagues and UEFA, they're already doing what everybody is saying that they don't want being done. So UEFA,
That's
are
what I was
kind
gonna say,
of-
man.
UEFA,
But they should have added this in regardless. It
Because
shouldn't
if
happen because of
UEFA in UEFA's new format, they've literally said they're gonna add teams that have history in the Champions
Yeah, I
League,
know.
and they're gonna
Yeah,
give them
yeah. The
automatic
Swiss- the
positions.
Swiss
Yeah,
league.
yeah,
So
I'm not
why-
even talking about that.
Exactly. So why are people?
I'm not even talking about that. I'm even talking about prior to that, like Real Madrid that season, this current season in their group stages. I think they needed one more match to win that game to qualify or something like that. Yeah. And if you do watch that game, there was some shocking refereeing in that game in favor of Real Madrid. All right.
Hey.
Now in the leagues alone, everybody sees how big teams get favoritism over the smaller teams.
Not
Barcelona
Arsenal.
gets decisions their way.
Yeah.
Real Madrid gets decisions their way. Atletico Madrid will get decisions their way because these leagues, they want these teams to finish in higher positions because they want them to go to the Champions League because they want them to get more money. But Champions League will come out and say, oh, we need to have Real Madrid in the competition. But Real Madrid are never going to get, demoted to the Europa League because Champions League can't have that happening. They want them in the round of 16. They want them in the quarterfinals. I know a lot of people say this is probably some, a major conspiracy theory, but everybody knows how corrupt.
No,
UEFA
it's
are.
true. It's definitely
Everybody
true.
knows how
No, but-
corrupt they are, and they know
Yeah.
that they want these competitions with these big teams in there. I mean, you would literally never see Real Madrid miss out on the. And I know you could say it's due to the quality of Real Madrid, but these past group stages where they were so close to going to Europa, UEFA knew that couldn't happen. So I don't know why these teams are basically just done what all these clubs have been doing for the past few years. Barcelona, Arsenal, the refereeing in that game, when RVP, the offside won. Because why? They'd rather Barcelona in the next stage than Arsenal. That's the truth, because Barcelona are a bigger club.
Hey, can I say?
Just
Can
as
I?
simple as that.
Yeah.
The Barcelona-Chelsea game as well. I mean, George, you
I
remember
remember.
that
I
one as
remember
well.
that, man. That one. Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's a
that's the truth.
disgrace.
That's so iconic, though. That's so iconic. No, but what I wanted to say, man, is that if I'm being honest, we have to look at it in totality. We know football's a business now, isn't it? Really, but it is sad. Like when I look at it, I do feel like football's losing a bit of its essence. Like I actually understand when the older generation say, "Oh, it wasn't like that in my day."
100%.
You do actually get it. Like I'm not upset about what's going on because if you look at it, like with the Premier League in 1992, where they broke away from the Football League, you see it was just a natural evolution. Like it was always gonna happen. So for me, I'm not really upset about it because it kind of is expected. I remember when I first heard it. This was in January when they were doing the little rumors thing. I was like, nah, I'm never gonna support Chelsea again. I'm not gonna. I was a bit emotional, but when you deep it, like, nah, this was a natural progression. But it's kind of sad how in the sport we only look at the financial aspect first. Like there isn't a sort of balance.
Can I jump on that, please, Josh?
Yeah.
So we talk about progression, and everyone has made massive, like, there's loads of different areas where people have said the Premier League and the things need to improve. And if we look at if we just look at the proposition for the Super League and what they've come out and said they want to do, because we can only take it from face value. They've said they wanted to increase salary caps, where teams can only spend 55% of their revenue. They said they're going to start miking up officials and making them do interviews after the game. They said they're going to greatly improve VAR and refereeing, and they said they're going to invest heavily in youth and women's football. These are things that people have been saying we need to do for years. So why is it people are ignoring the Super League when they're doing that? Because let's be honest, the refereeing in the Premier League, there's not one fan base that's happy with the refereeing. Not one. There's not one fan base that's against referees being mic'd up and referees essentially being held accountable for their decisions. I don't think there's one fan base who's against investment for youth and women's football. So let's be honest, are you really against everything that the Super League is proposing? Or are you just against the idea that this monopoly is going to be formed? Because I don't think a lot of people have really took the time to inform themselves. I think a lot of people are just jumping on the bandwagon of Sky Sports and Gary Neville saying it's a disgrace, it's going to ruin football. Because if you look at a lot of these journalists and people and say, like, generally just assess what they're saying, they're not making any points. They're just saying, oh, it's ruining football, the owners are greedy, it's this, it's that. But they're not explaining why it's ruining football, and they're not explaining how owners being greedy is anything new. Like, football has to progress, and the Champions League, the new format, I mean, it didn't look too different.
It's just as bad, to be honest, the way it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, there's some changes that me personally, I would put to the Super League, but I think this whole propaganda and agenda and all this uproar and controversy and uniting to get against it, I think a lot of it is just people jumping on the bandwagon. Because, like, let's be real, not all of it is bad.
No, not all of it is bad.
Sheep mentality, man. It's sheep mentality.
Honestly.
Everyone's just following the herd.
Everybody sat back and watched in the world how Man City broke financial fair play, how PSG spent 350 million on 2 players. Nobody really cared. Everybody just said, they moved on. And suddenly, something comes out of this and everybody, I just don't get it.
All of a sudden,
in their eyes, in the general public's eye, what this is 10 times what PSG and Man City did.
Nah,
it could have.
Sarah, can I ask you though?
Nah, they're overreacting, man.
Can I ask you, Sarah, as a West Ham fan, is it more unfair that an owner can come into your league, buy any team he wants? Let's say, for example, Newcastle. Is it more unfair that an owner can come in right now and buy Newcastle and make them the best team in the world like that? Or is it more unfair that a group of teams essentially get what they earn? What's more unfair? Because let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's be real. The Newcastle fans had no problem when they heard that this Saudi owner was going to come in and invest massive amounts of money into their club and make them the best team in the world. But now they have a problem with the Super League teams getting loads and loads of money. It's people are just being essentially selfish. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I want to say something. I feel like everyone's a capitalist until it doesn't suit them. suddenly now everyone's moving like a communist. Everyone wants or everything to be shared out equally and all this stuff. But when the capitalism is benefiting you, you're all for it. Now that the capitalism isn't benefiting you, now you want to be a communist. Now you want to share out. Everything has to be shared out. We have to look at grassroots, all of that. But when the money was coming to you, you had no issues. That's why it annoys me how hypocritical all these corporations are and all these leagues are being.
You know what? I've seen Josh, no disrespect to your fan base, but I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans being putting up the codes, football created by the poor, stolen by the rich. A Chelsea fan. A Chelsea fan.
Ironic.
I mean, all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's sometimes what I think. Like Chelsea fans, you can't really be like, you know, the ones. I don't know, man.
It's telling though. Like, how long have they known about this? Because like, if you look at it, Levy not spending, FSG not spending. Obviously, the problems with the Glazers and stuff. Like, they've known about this for ages. Yeah, exactly. So,
I think there's some lies being spread about the Super League though by media.
Lots of lies.
I think
100%.
One of the ones is grassroots football. Like I saw Gary Neville bring up Mason Greenwood on Sky Sports yesterday for no reason. But let's look at it like this. I'll use Man City and PSG as perfect examples. They are two clubs that have massive amounts of money. And if we look at the youngsters that they've produced, out of Man City, they've got Phil Foden and they've produced Jadon Sancho, who are two of the best youngsters in the world. And I don't even need to say anything about PSG's academy. They produce so many very good players. So this whole myth about grassroots football is going to go down. I don't think it will, because let's be honest, the French league is the best example for this, because they don't have the big powers and the major European superstars in their league. So the young players get more of a chance, more of an opportunity. That's why so many good young players come from France. And that's why France produce so many good young players, because they get more of an opportunity, more of a chance. And essentially, and that's good for grassroots football, is it not?
Can I jump off that? I don't even know where the correlation came from, though. It makes no sense.
It's just propaganda.
Yeah, they're spreading a lot of lies right now.
That's what me and Des were saying in the GC.
I think because it's the idea that they're trying to encourage grassroots. At the moment, I saw some stat. It was like, at the moment, in the last 5 years, there's been more grassroots football development in non-league and lower leagues, and those kids are getting noticed a lot by bigger or Premier League clubs, for example. That would stop, for example. That's why.
I just say another thing as well. I was watching Sky Sports, and like, obviously we know they have an agenda because of this Super League thing directly hurts their pockets. Like, in fact, it majorly hurts their pockets.
That's why they streamed for free yesterday.
I was exactly. Yeah. I was watching Sky Sports. Yeah, they were like, one of the owners or executives or chairmen has come out from the Super League and said, "Oh, this is purely about money and we don't care about the fans. We don't care about football." I was like, this sounds like you're making. I can't like.
Why would they tell you that?
Fishy what your report. It sounds to be. No one's gonna tell you that.
No.
And enough of the sort.
Reality is, they might have told them. They might have told them.
I want to say nothing, and they're like, "Oh, there's been rumors that Premier League sides will field second tier teams when they play in the Premier League and field their main teams when they." I was like, what? I was like, like the stuff that they're trying to create and fabricate to completely put people off this league is ridiculous.
No. What I want to say is that they might have told them that, but what Sky and they do is they manipulate it and they make it worse than it seems.
And they make more assumptions based on that.
Exactly.
Like how
so it's not like they want. Yeah. It's not like they. Some of it is baseless, but it's not like they're just making it out of thin air. What they're doing is that they're getting little information and they're going left with it to try and make it seem worse than it is. So it's not like it's absolutely baseless what they're saying, because we do know it's based on money. A lot of it is based on money.
Yeah,
but
we know that.
The idea of them saying, but the idea of them saying, they're going to fill second teams, they're just going to focus on that. We know that they're probably just going left with it to make it seem as if they're just trying to undermine the credibility of the league.
But that's what I'm saying, though. What they're doing is they're fear-mongering the people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's annoying, and a lot of people were eating. Most people were eating it up. That's what's annoying me. People aren't critically assessing what's going on. People are just eating up what Sky Sports are saying. That's why when it comes to the Super League thing, I'm not looking at what these big media corporations are saying, because I know they're completely biased.
Wait, Denzel, let me give you a good example. Gary Neville, United have been protesting against the Glazers for how many years? Best part of about 10 years now. Gary Neville's not said a word about it. Last year, he even said the Glazers are not the worst owners in the Big Six. Yesterday, he wants to come out against the Glazers and call them scavengers and say Old Trafford's rusty. But for how many years have you known this and not said anything? Now you want to come out and say it. So you're just a puppet, man. Come on. If you really cared about Man United, you would have came out against the Glazers years ago, and you would have backed the fans who have been against the Glazers and said, the Glazers are scavengers. The Glazers need to fix up Old Trafford. They need to invest in Man United. They need to stop taking money out of the club. But you didn't say anything. But now that it fits your narrative, now you want to come out against the Glazers. So I don't trust anything that comes out of Sky Sports, anything that comes out of the media's mouth about this Super League. And I suggest to everyone that you should just take all the information yourself and assess it. Don't listen to all these media companies. If you don't like the Super League, that's perfectly fine, because there's aspects that I don't like as well. And if you like the Super League, again, that's perfectly fine. Just make a decision yourself. Don't let people like Gary Neville and Jamie Redknapp fearmonger you into going against something that you're not fully informed of.
I feel like we can all agree that we all want change in some sort of
100%.
Competition, or
100%.
remove a competition, or just like change it. Like if we change this format to make it, you can get relegated, and maybe, because obviously this is all based on who's the owner going to be of all this. It can't be the chairman of all these top 6 sides probably, or whatever it is, top 12. Then like I'm all for it, like 100%, because I want to see if West Ham have a chance of competing in some big league, maybe only once or twice a year, but they earn the right to do that, then fair enough. I'm all excited for it.
But what changes would everyone make though? That's what I want to ask.
What?
Okay, the question is, who runs the whole thing? Who runs the whole thing?
It's okay. This league is based on investment. It's we've obviously seen JP Morgan have invested a large sum of money into this league.
Yeah.
It's an investors league essentially. There's not a set owner of this league. It's a league based on investment.
It's like a mini Barcelona, to be fair. What's going on with them?
Okay, so firstly, what I would, and Perez said that they most likely will be second division, which obviously would be a good idea. So a way where teams could work up from the second division to the first, kind of like the Europa to the Champions League, but to the essence where not just the winner gets Super League. So let's say the top, you could say 4. Let's say the top 4 in the second division of the Super League get promoted into the Super League itself, and stuff like that. And also relegation, because you wouldn't just want to see teams stay there forever despite them being poor and stuff like that, which I eventually think will come around. So relegation, second division, obviously better refereeing. I think they've already said that they would work on that, so that's good. Just in general, honestly, I just don't see how people don't think this idea would be fun. I mean, seeing players go up against each other week in, week out and stuff like that. And there are also rumors of possibly like an
all-star game
or something like that. I mean, these are all the stuff we dreamed about.
That sounds like that too American now, sort of now.
I don't like.
Yeah, I know it.
Come on, man.
I would. It's gonna be entertaining though. Don't lie. You're gonna
definitely be entertaining.
Now the All-Star game, I know what's gonna happen. The players they're not gonna want to get injured, so they're not gonna take it seriously, and it's gonna be essentially.
Yeah, but that's.
Yeah.
You don't want to make it to America now, like there's beauty in every single sector of a sport, in it. Like there's something that's different from every sport. You don't need to try and make it like. Obviously, sometimes you have to be open to change, and even if you're against it initially, just be open to see what it's like. So I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna close my eyes to it, but it's a thing of. For me, I'm always about the essence, the feeling of the sport. I don't know, maybe you can say I'm a passion merchant or whatever, but it's the feeling that you get behind the sport. And that's one thing I always say about change. You have to change, but don't remove yourself from the essence of what started you from that sport or just that thing that you're doing. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes football is moving away from that essence. But I always say for the younger generation that are coming through, their essence is going to be different to how they see sports compared to mine. So it's always different. But for me, football doesn't feel the same as it once was, but it's just the way it's going, isn't it?
Perez said something that more teenagers spend more time playing video games.
I was gonna make the point earlier. If I let Ori finish now, carry on.
Yeah. So like what Josh is saying, that we kind of do need to make football more entertaining. And I know a lot of people, to us,
You don't want them to watch it. You want them to play it. You don't want them to be watching it.
exactly. Like, I don't know, but it's just the thing where, like, to us, obviously, like, well, maybe we're kind of like the middle gen, kind of, I would say. I guess there's a new, I mean, you could also say we're the younger gen, I don't know. But in terms of like 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds that are coming up watching the game, like, they're not going to be sitting down like the way I do, trying to watch what teams can I think of now? Monaco versus Nice in the League One, and analyzing which players I want to come to my team and seeing who's holding PM and stuff like that. They're not going to be checking out the upcoming players and stuff like that. They don't really care about that. They just want to see Barcelona versus Real Madrid. They just want to see Barcelona versus Liverpool. And that's just how the game is right now. So you need to be able to market it to them more so that they can watch more of these games, so they can be like, they want to tell their parents, oh, we need to pay for these games and stuff like that, so that these clubs can end up making more money. And the COVID pandemic thing has really made it so hard for the clubs in terms of finances. So this is a way for everybody to make more money and for this money to be, shared around more, because UEFA have made, serious a lot of money that they haven't. There's a lot of UEFA's finances that aren't, public.
They're not declared. They're not declared.
Yeah, UEFA, they're dodgy, man. UEFA and FIFA, we know.
So everybody already knows that. So it's just something where it's just like, let's just, look at something new. But I guess everybody's afraid of change.
You know what the maddest thing is, that Sepp Blatter and what's his name? Platini, they got done for fraud, innit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I quickly make my point that I was going to make?
No. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So what I'm saying is the world is, like Orange saying, the world is changing. We have to adapt to the changing world. Like, at our age, when we were about, like, 7, 8, when you ask every kid, what do you want to be when you're
footballer? I know, yeah.
You want to be a footballer. Now, when you ask a little kid, what do you want to be?
YouTuber.
I want to be a YouTuber. The world is changing, and them adapting to the world changing isn't a bad thing. Like,
he's spitting.
The amount of kids that you ask, what do you want to be when you're older? No, these kids aren't saying footballers no more.
He's spitting.
So they're changing, and now they're adapting to the game. But you have to do stuff that's gonna bring more people into the game. Like, I understand Perez's point of view, because now little kids, they're playing Fortnite instead of FIFA. They're watching YouTube instead of football games. My little brother, he doesn't know too much about football. When I'm watching a football, he'd rather be playing Fortnite or on his tablet. You need things that are going to draw more people into the game. You need to draw in the younger generation. Because at the end of the day, that's the future. So them adapting a new system, it's not a bad thing. It's going to bring more people into the game. And if it works, then it's going to bring a lot of people back into football. So yeah, I don't see too many issues with them.
I want to speak about greed as well, because people are getting onto these owners for greed, and they're really getting onto the owners and them specifically. But let's be honest, if people really cared and people were really angry about owners being greedy, then it wouldn't just be West Ham fans protesting against GSB, because West Ham fans have been protesting against GSB for how many years for being greedy? And I've never heard anyone else outside the West Ham fan base say a word about it. No one else. So if people really did care about owner greed, everyone would be against Gold and Sullivan and Brady. But it's not. It's everyone is just jumping on this bandwagon, and everyone is just listening to.
It's convenient, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't want to be the people that actually think about this and assess this, because football's been about greed for how many years, man? Let's be honest.
1992 when they broke away, bro.
It's been about greed.
Yeah. So
like BT and Sky talking about, we care about the fans, as if BT Sports isn't the one that took Champions League off Freeview and made you pay for it. You're talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense. Sky Sports talking about football is not about football is for the fans, as if you're the reason why football tickets now are not £5 and are £80, as if you're not the reason why football kits now are £80 instead of £25, as if you're not the reason why people have to pay £100 a month and 15 on top of that to watch football. These guys are talking nonsense and people are eating it up. Sorry, that was a rant.
No, that is fair, man. I can't, like, all of us, we do have we understand why they're doing it.
Common ground.
Yeah, we all understand, like, it makes sense. It's just that, wait, before we, like, kind of wrap up, do we have anything else that we want to mention about this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on obviously Bayern and obviously the Bundesliga clubs don't like they're not gonna be involved. Any thoughts on that? Like, is that fair or?
Can I say quick? They're comfy in their own. They're comfy
Yeah.
with their little Farmers League. They're comfy. All the big teams are leaving. Champions League. It's going to be a walk in the park for them as well. They're comfy playing against Farmers every week. They're
Hey, come on,
a
man.
little bit of a lack of ambition.
Now, let's be
I'm
honest.
going to get onto them because I understand why they're not doing it. Obviously, the whole let's save football and we're owned by the fans, all that stuff.
1% ownership.
But sometimes I just think you're just lacking ambition. You're comfy with everyone leaving the Big Six and you playing Farmers every week. And you do it in domestic leagues. So, now we can do it in the Champions League too. That's great.
Let's be honest. If the Super League takes off, Bayern Munich are joining the Super League. Let's be honest. If it
That
takes
is
off,
true.
they're joining.
That is true.
And PSG, as soon as that World Cup is finished in Qatar,
Yeah.
they're joining the Super League.
You know what? I can't believe a World Cup is actually happening in Qatar, and everybody.
That's my point.
And it was
Talk
literally
about
happening. Like
corruption.
everybody's sitting down, and no one is literally.
No
One
one
is-
brings up the human rights thing.
No,
enough,
bro,
is it? It's
bro,
just-
Yes.
bro.
That
Where
human
was the
rights
last
thing
Europa
is a
League finals?
disgrace. That is a
The last-
disgrace of
The
football.
Europa League finals, one this year saying good thanks. It was in fucking Baku. Arsenal and Chelsea fans had to go to Mkhitaryan
Yeah.
literally couldn't play because of political tensions. And you want to talk about it's for the fans and fair play. Glenn Kamara was racially abused and it took you 2 weeks to come out with a statement.
Yes.
And in 30 minutes you can come out and oppose this
Yes.
Super League. UEFA needs now.
Yes.
I've been waiting for UEFA to be toppled for a minute. So I have no problem with UEFA and the FA being toppled because they need to go. But the Super League, it's not without problems, don't get me wrong. But them two organizations, UEFA and the FA, you've needed
Well,
this reality check for a minute.
There's a Premier League meeting today with all the owners, and the 14 Premier League owners, we can all guarantee, are not going to budge on their
But
opinion.
I feel sorry for them though, because it's not they essentially they can't vote the Big Six out because the Big Six make so much
And
revenue for
they
them.
need to keep them in there as well.
Yeah, they can't vote them out. But also they're between a rock and a hard place because they need to please their fans. And a lot of their fans would want the Big Six out. So-
Yeah, but think about it. Let's be honest. Most people aren't watching the Premier League without the Big Six.
Did
They're
see the
gonna
Premier
lose
League
so
without the Big
much.
Six?
Exactly. It looks disgusting.
Put some
there's so
respect
much
on an
money that
Everton,
the
Leicester,
big-
West Ham title race.
Bro. The amount of money that the Big Six bring into the Premier League is too much money for them to ban the Big Six. At the end of the day, the Premier League are acting like they're taking the moral high ground. All they care about is money as well. You see with this TV rights deals and everything like that as well. If they get rid of the Big Six, it's going to hurt their pockets. They're not going to do it. I think they're just bluffing.
Yeah. And also they need a 75% majority to vote someone out. And even if every team agrees, that's only 70%. So they don't have the power to do it anyway. So I mean there's nothing they can do.
It's a mezza, man. It's a mezza. I want to get you guys' thoughts. Like, how do you feel about football now? Because I was telling Dan yesterday, the way I kind of feel about football. I still love playing ball. I probably love playing it more than ever, but my feelings, even towards Chelsea, isn't really the same as it was when I was younger. It's like I'm not as emotionally invested as I was before. And the Super League, the way it just announced and stuff. Like, I was watching Liverpool versus Leeds yesterday. It didn't have no meaning anymore. Like, it was just like, obviously because the news was just fresh in it, so it's kind of like that still on your mind. But I don't know, the way I view football isn't. I'm not as emotionally invested, and I was deep in it in the morning. One of the big reasons is because there's no fans. You know, fans with the intensity, like
People blame the timing of it being really bad.
Look at Liverpool versus Real Madrid in the Champions League. Oh, you're thinking Liverpool come back, the fans roaring, every tackle they're going to be shouting this and that, but we turned out to just be a shit game, really and truly.
Right.
So without no fans, but the way I kind of look at football now is like I kind of just watch to see which players playing. So even Newcastle versus West Ham, I only watched it because I wanted to see Saint-Maximin play. More time, I just watch teams because of like young players. So
crazy game.
That's it. But like, I want to get all your
I think that's what
points. Denzel,
no, that's my thing though. Like, I feel like
Can I say quickly? I think Perez mentioned it in the interview. A lot of fans are supporting players instead of teams now, and I feel like that's an issue. with the game. A lot of people are just idolizing players rather than idolizing teams and supporting their teams. Because you've seen it where players will move from one team to another team and the fans will follow them there. So I feel like that's the issue in football as well. Obviously, no fans being there is going to affect the game massively. Maybe it's just the excitement of when you're younger, everything's more exciting.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I understand what you mean as the game is just, it's not the same as it
Anyone
used to be.
notice how the
But I still love the game though. I still love the game.
Yeah.
So my love for the game will never die, regardless of if they make the Super League or not. I've seen a lot of fans saying, "Oh, I'm falling out of love with football. I'd rather Man United get sent to the first. Rather get Man United sent to the Championship." I saw one guy saying, "Oh, I'd rather see Man United get relegated to League Two than them do this Super League thing." I'm like, come off it,
Come
bro.
September, everybody's watching the Super League. Let's be real.
Exactly.
Let's be honest, yeah. Let's be honest. Especially Arsenal and United fans, yeah. The Arsenal and United fans saying, "Oh, if this Super League happens, then I'm done. I'd rather us go and get relegated." If Arsenal and Man United, by hook or by crook, become the best team in the Super League, they will be the first to be shameless and to be running banter on other fan bases. It's just hypocritical, man. You're just saying stuff for effect. No one really wants their team to be relegated to League Two. Let's be honest.
Most people are just very emotional right now because it kind of goes against the whole tradition that they're used to in it. That's what is what Oriel was saying. People are still changing it.
Tradition, though.
But
the Premier League done that in 1992, and let's not act like they've been trying to rub out. They've been trying to act like football didn't exist before 1992.
Exactly. With the whole Big Six thing as well, it was the Big Six teams in the Premier League, and they had that meeting, and then they formed the. It was Everton, United.
Oh, you're talking about 1992,
yeah. I'm talking about when they made it, etc. And they did the exact same thing. They went to ITV and asked for more money because of Greg Dyke knew that they'll be making more money if they showed big games. They knew all of this stuff. So history is now repeating itself, but because it's going against you, now you don't like it. But when you did it in 1992, there was no complaints. So it's all
Greg Dyke spoke yesterday. He said there's no chance it starts in August. No chance.
I don't think UEFA and FA, I don't think they have any leverage in this case. I think they're going to have to compromise because like the biggest threat that they have is that number one, they'll expel the players from the leagues, and number two, they won't let them play in international tournaments. And let's be honest, if the top players are not playing in the World Cup and the Euros, the viewing figures will be a lot less, and people won't be as interested because the England team, it will be significant. England actually, I've been through nothing. Team, but a lot of these teams are going to stink without them top 6 players, and I'm not even top 6, top 12 players. And that's going to hurt FIFA, UEFA, and the FA's pockets so much that I think they'll just... The most likely consequence for me is that I think they'll just compromise. They'll just say, do you know what? You can have this Super League. We'll let you back in the Premier League, but you need to play the Super League midweek, which was their plan anyway. And they'll say, as long as you allow teams to get relegated, then we'll allow this to happen. That's what I think is most likely going to happen.
Yeah.
I think the uproar is crazy.
Back to
my thing was I was concerned because I feel like the last maybe like 5-6 years, it's in particular the Premier League's become a lot more open, and I was thinking it might like stop that level playing field a bit more, but I don't know.
I'll let Ori say what I was going to say, and then I'll rebuttal.
Back to Josh's point about the love of the game. Has anyone noticed how the level of commentating has kind of dropped?
And analysts.
It's true,
and also analysts and pundits and stuff like that.
Roy Keane is the best example, bruv. Man watched the Arsenal Fulham game and it's as if he didn't even watch the game.
He came to the conclusion that we're just, what did he even say again?
He said we attacked poorly.
When it was just, a lot of decisions just didn't go our way. A lot of chances we had, we just,
But the thing I hate, is if it wasn't Arsenal, if it was Leicester, Roy Keane would have sat in the studio and said, great point. They done well to dig in deep and get a point from that because it was not their day.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Like the level of analysts and commentators needs to improve. Like, when Roy Keane's on a panel, he's just about leadership and passion.
Leadership. Yeah, that's what
Did you say Americans are better?
Hey, Americans.
I think beIN Sports had Arsene Wenger and Mourinho.
Yeah, the way they're formatting it, and the I think it's CBS, their one's good as well.
Yeah, with Micah Richards and them.
Yeah,
but Ari was saying in
the mixtures,
Yeah, no, that's
I'm
really
out.
just what. Also, the fans thing as well. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Josh, about how like the game. I guess also the Super League announcement. Yeah, it also did kind of take me aback. I feel like we could kind of maybe have been eased into it. But if you think about it, we kind of were. I guess the idea was always flying around for a while now. But I guess it still just kind of took everybody as a by surprise. So yeah.
Yeah, can I quickly comment on what Sarah said about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Prem
yeah.
being open? Wait, so was your point that the Prem's now open and this whole Super League thing affects
It could
the
stop that.
openness?
It could stop that.
I disagree with that. I feel like that's a myth because we've seen. I don't think money automatically translates
No.
to success on the pitch. I feel like people are just forgetting that because we've seen Man United invest a lot into the squad that hasn't translated into success on the pitch. It's about scouting. It's about investing in the right players. The teams that spend the most money, it doesn't guarantee you Premier League success. Probably the only example I can think of is Man City. But apart from that, it's been based on Josh. Yeah.
No, because you were saying about money, but I remember I was reading something. They said wage budgets or the amount you spend on wages is usually an accurate correlation of how well you do. Because the teams that usually spend most on wages usually do the best.
I don't think that's necessarily true because of the only example I've seen of money has just equaled success is Manchester City. Well, in the Premier League anyway, probably City, Chelsea. Man United have splashed the cash ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left and hasn't equaled to success. Chelsea, even this window, splashed the cash. That didn't equal to success. So more money being injected into these big clubs doesn't mean it's going to ruin the openness of the Prem. Because if you can have squads like Leicester who invest smartly in their squads and have better squads than teams like Man United. So it doesn't, the money doesn't guarantee success.
Even
I don't
Liverpool
think
as well.
that's
Even Liverpool.
a valid
Liverpool
excuse.
Yeah.
they have the self-sustainable model, and
I
they
wanted to
won
say
the
something.
Champions League.
I want to say something about that self-sustainable model because I remember Dan, you always used to say you didn't believe in it, innit?
I hate it. I'll still tell you now. I hate it. It's not because
I actually
it's
agree
not
with
fair.
you. It's a bullshit model now because basically what it means is that you're sustainable so that we don't have to invest or put anything into you.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, but
That's
Josh,
what I've learned
it's
now.
been
Yeah,
no, but
that's
it's
what I
been
learned
bullshit for ever since owners have been able to essentially bankroll teams. It's not worked because people will point to Liverpool and say, "Oh, Liverpool done it and their thing." But and I know this is a hypothetical, but I'll be honest, I don't see Liverpool in the title race for the next 10 years. But I see Chelsea and Man City in the title race for the next 10 years if they keep splashing money. Because for the self-sustainable model to work, you need to get everything right. You need to get the manager, the DOF, and a large majority of your signings. Your margin for error is a lot smaller than these big spending clubs. Because look at like Man City. Man City bought Ferran Torres and Nathan Ake in last window, and barely any of them have played. They signed Benjamin Mendy, who's not worked. Man City have signed how many players that haven't worked, and they are able to still be a very high level team. Whereas someone like Arsenal have missed on so many transfers, and look where they are on the table as a result of that. Like the self-sustainable model, ever since monies came into the game, it's not worked. So I think that was always destined to go anyway.
Sarah, you want to say something?
No, that's fine. I forgot what I was going to say anyway.
I can't lie. I think we've spoken enough about the Super League. I think we've covered mostly everything, really. I think we've given our fair and accurate representation of what we believe the Super League is. Jose got sacked.
Yes.
It was amazing.
With all the commotion, it's easy to forget.
No one cared. The only thing that people cared was that did he not take them out for training because of the Super League? Like, no one actually really cared, and it's mad. But it's not surprising.
I don't think he would. Apparently, it's not like there's nothing proven, but I don't think he would have agreed with it. I don't think he would have agreed with it.
I think there's past quotes that saying that he didn't agree.
I mean, maybe in one-off games and stuff, he would have liked.
That's not the reason why he got sacked.
That's not the reason. I don't think honestly.
No, because
it's not related.
Levy's worried that if he wins the cup final, though he'll have leverage that he wants to stay longer and stuff like that. And apparently, there's like fallout between players. But he still wants to pay the 30 mil.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, well, they've got the Super League money, so they're probably using that.
But what's it called? Oh yeah, Bartomeu said it ages ago. No, I'm just deep in. Remember when he left? He was like, everybody signed for the Super League, innit? Do you remember?
Yeah.
He said it, yeah. But with Jose, I mean, I think he's done in England, really. I was surprised he even got the Tottenham job. I thought after United he was finished, but he somehow got the Tottenham job. You know, for Jose, I actually don't know what's next for him, you know? I actually don't know what's next.
I think I've got two options. I've got two options for him. He can either go Bayern and Stadtpad, because obviously Flick is leaving.
Bayern don't like him.
But he can go Bayern and Stadtpad.
National team.
Or he should go into... That's what I was just going to say. He should go into international matches.
One-off games,
because that'll probably
give him
suit
the
him more.
squad.
He's not with the squad 24/7, so they don't have time to get annoyed with him. So he can do that.
Maybe if like Atalanta, because Atalanta apparently getting annoyed with their manager, maybe he could go there.
They play attacking football. That's such a drastic
Porto's the only club I can see.
Porto. Yeah.
Porto's the only club, but I don't know what their situation is. Nah, I can't see that happening.
They play trash football anyway, so it's not.
He was at Inter, innit? So obviously that don't really matter.
So Conte did the same thing.
Yeah, no, but I don't think they have a good relationship, him and Juve. I'm not sure. Literally, I don't see him at a top level club like that. I don't see him at a top 15 club. He's not.
Have to do a Carlo Ancelotti and go to.
Perfect example. He's past it, man. He's past it.
But Ancelotti went away respectably, though. Like Ancelotti, I think he didn't create toxic environments everywhere he went. He didn't do this. Whereas Jose, he's got a bit of a reputation for that.
Yeah.
And will teams want, especially teams outside the elite, will they want that? Because let's be honest, like Jose complains that he didn't get to spend as much as he wanted to, and them teams definitely won't be able to afford to spend hundreds of millions. So will they want all that toxic energy with Jose and him trying to spend money that they haven't got?
Jose got backed in the window though. He got backed in this recent window.
He has no complaint. He had one of the best windows. He had one of the best windows in my opinion.
He did have one of the best windows.
Yeah.
I think Jose will have to compromise in it because he does like the perfect word is he don't have no leverage no more. That leverage of being the elite is not there no more. The fact that we were even debating when we did the manager thing, you man check that out. That is he a good or a decent manager anymore? It shows you how much he's gone down. He's not a top level manager no more. It's as sad as it seems. So he has to compromise, in my opinion, to a club of Everton standard where you're not really even a European side like that.
Would they even take him
if they had the chance between Carlo or Jose?
Yeah,
they would take Carlo.
That's my point. Like.
Yeah, but yeah, he's fallen off, man. He's fallen off. It's sad, man. It's sad.
But what about Spurs? Where do Spurs go from here?
They're saying
what about Spurs? Where do Spurs go from here?
Yeah, they're saying about Nagelsmann.
But no, I see Nagelsmann.
I don't think he doesn't want. Nagelsmann doesn't want to go Spurs.
I see him
I don't know who Spurs are going to get.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I saw Roberto Martinez.
No, I know the fans even will get Allegri in.
They want Allegri.
No. I was just saying. I was just like annoy them even more.
I saw Martinez. Roberto Martinez.
I've seen Sarri links.
And Roberto Martinez.
Sarri is probably the best.
Sarri would get the best out of that midfield, 100%.
I think Sarri is probably the best.
He'd spend that Super League money on Jorginho.
He probably would, you know. He probably would, because he went back Juve as well. Everywhere he goes, that's his prodigal son, man. What else was there? The quadruple.
They got a chance in the cup final next week.
That's not right. You never know. New manager bounce could be crazy.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's Ryan Mason. Come on now.
Hey, we don't know, man. We don't know. I don't even know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a poor interim appointment.
Does he have authority over players? Can Ryan Mason tell someone like Gareth Bale to work?
No.
I mean, it's
going to be such a...
You could tell them to go out and play their best, because what else can you really do?
People like Ndombele,
vibes, man. Exactly, man. Vibes.
Yeah, man. You know, did you remember I said that we should do top 5 players in the world?
Yeah.
Do we even have time for that?
I didn't plan for that.
Yeah, I can't lie. Yeah, I feel like today's episode is mainly based on the big news that's been happening around sport more this week.
I heard that. Wait, Ori, did you have yours to say?
Yeah, I did mine actually.
I'm gonna say mine, and Ori will say his, innit?
I feel like we should save that for another, or are we gonna do it all now?
Wait, is it top 5 player? right now? Or
No,
feel
we
like
can
we
just
should
do it on the
save that.
spot. It's not. It don't have to be like a major argument, innit?
okay, do yours, and then we can just maybe maybe replace a couple if we want.
George go first, yeah.
I go first.
Yeah.
So I said, I still think Messi's the best in the world. Then I said second was Neymar. Then I said third was Lewandowski. Fourth, I said Neuer. And then
Ooh.
fifth, I was struggling. The people I had in my consideration were Kimmich, Mbappe, CR7, even Benzema. I didn't really know who to say was fifth, in all honesty.
No, Van Dijk.
Wait, where's Harry Kane, bro? Where's Harry Kane?
Where's
Yeah,
Van
he
Dijk?
might be in consideration, but I don't know who would be fifth in the world, to be honest. I don't even know, man. It's for now, I say Mbappe in it, but yeah. Ori, what was yours?
Mine was Messi first, Neymar second, Kane third, Virgil van Dijk fourth,
Oh,
and Mbappe fifth.
If Van Dijk wasn't injury prone this season, if he didn't have an injury, he would be in the top five definitely. But because he was
But I mean,
injured.
I don't know, man. I think that's a bit. I think you need to give him the leeway because he's been at that crazy level for 2 years.
Honestly, I mean, it's been quite.
If he wasn't injured like for that much, he would be in the top five definitely. But because he was injured, so that's why I
a bit
didn't put.
harsh.
That's why I didn't put him in. But you, man, you tell us in the comments who you think the top five players in the world are. Tell us if you disagree with our thing. Any wild lads or stars of the week? You know.
Okay, I've got plenty, Wallace. I've got plenty.
Football in public,
Sky
yes.
Sports, Sky Sports, BT Sports, Gary Neville, Michael Richards, Ricky. I can name everybody.
Man said that straight to
FIFA,
Michael Richards.
UEFA, Plantini, was it Infantino?
Kerakin, where his name is. Alexander.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Stone
All
Kroenke, the
Wallace, 'cause of you.
Glazers.
You're all hypocrites. I want to bring up
All of
what
them.
Dan said again. It took you how many weeks to respond to racism? Took you 30 minutes to respond to an unconfirmed announcement about the Super League. They hadn't even confirmed it. You went based on rumors. Within 30 minutes, you were on it. Wallace.
I'll give it to Fulham. I think they're down now, unfortunately.
How is
Yeah.
Steve Bruce still going to be in the league next season?
Oh yeah. Yeah. How are they? Ask me this. How are they defend? They were literally sitting back against us when they had a 2-0 lead with an extra man. Now I know why Newcastle fans would rather go down playing attractive football. That is abysmal.
I think Craig Pawson's a well-lad of the week. The referee in the Arsenal-Fulham game, because I'll be real, it's gone under the radar with the Super League stuff, but Arsenal fans were fuming at this guy because the decisions were very, very questionable. And that's not the first time Craig Pawson has had a very questionable decision against us this season.
I heard that. Any other stars or well lads of the week? Any?
Man, Star of the week, Perez. I'm trolling. I'm joking.
Patrick Bamford.
Big up Patty B, man.
Yeah.
Patty.
Patrick Bamford.
Hey, shout out Messi as well. Messi did his thing in the final as well, innit?
Messi did well.
his thing as well.
The referee was awful, but
Gone under the
referee
radar,
was.
but Greenwood also played really well against.
Yes,
Shout out Ziyech as well. Shout out Ziyech. Yeah.
Happened.
Goes in, don't matter.
No, he got his goal. Mount also played really well in that game. Chilwell as well. Yeah. Obviously, Iheanacho, getting Leicester.
Senior man, my guy. Yeah, man. Hey.
Oh, UEFA
They
as well.
still need a striker. Don't worry. Don't get.
I think
deluded, they still need a
UEFA's
striker.
I wouldn't say well lad for UEFA because do you see the shirts that Leeds were wearing?
That was quite
Earn it.
I'll be honest, yeah. Leeds, and I love Leeds as a club, but they were trying to form a breakaway league 2 years ago from the Championship.
If Leeds were still the same club they were 20, they'll be part of the Super League as well. So I don't know why there's any.
Yeah, basically, man.
Everyone, all the people coming out against it, they're mad because they're here. Like Dan said, they're here from outside the club.
No, let's not say
going
that. Let's not say that. Let's not say that because I understand that it's not. It's unfair that they can't. It's unfair that they can't join. So the meritocracy part, I get that. But
I'm trolling.
a lot of these fans are and especially companies are being a bit hypocritical.
Yeah, I think that's just probably my main thing.
That's
'Cause
my concern.
when,
That's my main
when I
concern.
did hear about the news, I was like a bit on the fence, but just seeing the way
Yeah.
everyone was just reacting, and I'm just thinking that where was all this energy when UEFA was, doing all their corruption and stuff like that? So it's just, it's just the, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I think the uproar has made people like more passionate about what side they're on. Like, I think people have, because for me, even right now, I'm not really massively for it or not really massively against it. But
Same.
the fact that these people are trying to like come out in such force against the Super League, I don't know, it makes me dislike the against Super League movement a little bit more.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
100, man. 100% get
I mean,
that, man.
day by day, I'm seeing more people, especially on the timeline, like being more in support of the Super League now. And a lot of these clubs, they're just being patient because eventually they know people would come around.
Fans are pussies, man. Fans aren't on piss, bro. They're not on piss.
Honestly, it's literally like all this reaction.
A couple beers down,
Give it time. In the next couple years, the Super League will be the new normal. Everybody will be watching it.
Exactly.
And it will be what it is.
And right here, can I just say it? We were ahead of the curve. Let's just say that. Ori likes to say we're ahead of the curve, man.
In many years, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this podcast and we'll look at it and we'll see how everything we said was right.
No, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's look at it from Arsenal's point of view. Right now, we're in ninth. We probably won't win the Europa League. We're not going to get in the Champions League next year. We can't compete with the best clubs. We've been presented with an opportunity to get right to the top, to get a whole lot of cash and to be with the elites. Now, I understand it's a very selfish point of view, but from Arsenal's point of view, why would you say no to that opportunity?
You gotta look after yourself first, man. Yeah, exactly. You gotta look after yourself first. That's how it is.
Like in a business, because it's
a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. And I'm not saying I'm for it, but from an Arsenal point of view, why would the owners say no to it?
Yeah, exactly.
From a business perspective, it makes total sense. Like, there's nothing.
And especially because UEFA have been stitching them up for years with this FFP and the fines. Like, you know what's mad? Arsenal paid £30 million in tax to UEFA from 2011 to 2019. The rest of the Premier League clubs combined paid 19 million. So from Arsenal's perspective, they've been mad at UEFA for years. So you can understand why they would jump ship, and especially when there's other incentive. Like when I think Arsenal probably would have left if there was no money, just the opportunity to play in the elite thing. But the fact that there's this much money bonus, the owner said, "Of course we're joining."
Hey, Sarah, final point. I know that Denzel, you say something, and then Sarah, final point.
Say again.
I just want to say this might be a weak point, but I just want to bring up in terms of the rights of this new league and all that. I'm thinking. Financially, this could be better for us than the current setup because of naturally you'd think they'll probably go into a streaming deal. They'll probably stream this new tournament. And I know that Amazon Prime subscription costs significantly less than the Sky Sports subscription. So I get to watch football for a lot cheaper than I do currently now. I see that as a win situation for me. That's just a little point that I wanted to add on.
Yeah.
The only thing is tickets though. Like I think the people are bringing up the fact that fans will have to pay more money to fly cross country to pay for tickets for these games. But my thing is like, tickets have been rising for ages. Like, look, let's say for example, Portsmouth were in the Premier League. If you're a fan of Portsmouth and you play against Newcastle, the train ticket from Portsmouth to Newcastle is going to be so expensive. And then the ticket to the game on top of that, that's going to be so expensive as well.
Just
tickets have been rising for ages.
Just my final point before I give it to Sarah to end off. People forget this is going to be an international tournament. They don't care about if you can't afford it from England. Someone from fucking Spain will afford it. So
someone from Hong Kong will come and watch.
These clubs are international clubs. They're not domestic clubs no more. It's not Chelsea's only located in London, Arsenal, North London.
Look at the price of season tickets.
Bro, it's an international thing now. People have to deep it.
Yeah.
It's not nice. It's not like, I know people like to say this is my club, but football's moving away from that, man. I'm sorry. It's not right, but it's moving
Yeah,
away.
100.
But Sarah, you wanted to end off?
I forgot what I was going to say.
This guy, man. Yeah, man. Hey,
Forgetting.
you guys, we gave you a very detailed analysis into the Super League. You know, gave you our thoughts. You know, we're honest with it. You know, them ones there. None of this. Let's appease the masses. No, we're keeping it real, man. But yeah, man, we want to know your thoughts as well, man. We want to know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, man, and make sure you share with your people, man. But yeah, it's been a mad week of football, man. Mad week of football. But this is why we love the game, innit? We'll catch you, man, later. Peace, man.